Tips. Keren on tips. Positive tips. Tips.
Closing government argument is only telling to you about the exceptions conditions where actually in some context positive vibe isn't applicable, like when you're talking about the grievances when your mother is died or not, ladies and gentlemen. Because this argument is only talk about the exceptions of the positive vibes in itself. They have to argue upon why in the general context when there is an overemphasis narrative that is actually overwhelming the ideas of the people sadness that people will be feeling always alienated to begin with, ladies and gentlemen, that people always feel that the problems of their own is unique and unsolvable, that it creates insecurities in themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Reading that the arguments of CG only tells to you why that this kind of context is about how this kind of context is only explaining the reasons why, it's only explaining about in specific exceptions, not about how the overemphasis, but only emphasis only, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that because the problem is about how when everyone feels positive in itself, we believe that the people will always try to be being alienated, that they always try to constantly ask themselves that they cannot happy with their own, ladies and gentlemen. This is also answering what the arguments from opening opposition is very bad, that you always have to share your happiness inside of the media in itself, that it shapes you to be a staff, that it shapes you to always have create enforcing a burden toward another people, that another people should be happy, but on another side it creates an alienation that is inherent. Moreover that it for all people that is introvert in itself, for example, they are tend to always be insecure in itself, ladies and gentlemen. So what the issues of this debate talks about how the ideas of acknowledging your problem and how you could opt out from that problem, and the second of all is about how for not being for always trying to be brave telling your problem, so that's why you are not sad anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about how the first issues. Several distinctions and rebuttals will be intertwined in my class, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it's about how these ideas of acknowledgement of problems in itself, ladies and gentlemen. This argument talking about how the environment that exists in opposition bands, ladies and gentlemen. In the opposition bands environment, it's very bad, because basically when you always try to tell about the positive facts of a certain individuals, you always try to say something that is good only from a certain people. You are most likely hide the truth, or maybe that you are always give a praise toward another people without telling the others that look, you are very bad on this, ladies and gentlemen. Because we think that it's very bad because basically it overwhelms someone. No, thank you. Because it overwhelms someone analysis upon how someone decisions in itself, ladies and gentlemen. This different in our side, that the environment in our side is about how you are very brave to tell a problem, ladies and gentlemen. No matter who you are, when you are introvert or extrovert, for example, or no matter who you are, that is socially active or not, you will be able to feel that you are brave enough to tell your problem in itself. Because the narrative that exists in our side by having negative facts in itself, for example, it will try to make. No, thank you. It will try to make the other. It will try to make the assistance of look. Other people have these problems. Look, I can solve the problems because the other people can also do that, ladies and gentlemen. But the secondly is about how but the secondly is about how when other people can tell someone's bad by like telling jokes or telling a bad truth with a jokes in itself. We think that it's still fine, ladies and we think that it's fine, ladies and gentlemen, because you will always find how the way to opt out from a certain problem in your life, ladies and gentlemen. So we think that the ideas of acknowledgement of problem is very important. Yes, please.
CG forgets the fact that people have different privilege and people have different rights, and it's not as easy as to solve problem like that. What happens when you say that it's your fault for not solving your problem? How does it feel?
We think that basically problem in itself is very complicated. There are lots of factors, so that's why there are a lot of people that telling you that look, you're telling a negative truth in itself. We think that it's very good because basically you will be able to opt out from your problem because you know what the real life or the real things that exist inside of you, ladies and gentlemen. Look, let's try to look at the opening opposition problem, ladies and gentlemen. Their problem is about how the ideas of how we can opt out from a depression or sadness is only based on the community health to begin with. We think that the community health in itself is very problematic to begin with, ladies and gentlemen, because not all people are enjoy with constantly facing other people's happiness to begin with, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about people that like in working in media or we work as an artist or as YouTuber or so on, that they always happy, but they try to fulfill the burden that they are someone that are always happy, but at their real life they are just hiding their own problems, ladies and gentlemen. So we think that community help itself doesn't help. But second of all is about how the benefits of happiness that you accept from other is less likely to be translated into solving a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Even if someone's problem itself is succeed to be solved and then they are happy, the happiness in their side is only like a short term, ladies and gentlemen. It's only a chemical reaction that is long lasting for a short time. It doesn't help solve you the problems of someone's sadness, ladies and gentlemen. So what's the comparative that you have from closing government is about how number one, you will not always be number one is about how you will have a narrative that fixing your burden shouldn't be fixing a problem or fixing a sadness shouldn't be your own burden, ladies and gentlemen. You will not always have a self-victimization to begin with, ladies and gentlemen. That you will always try to have an alternative to telling to another people that you also have this problem and this problem itself is able to be solved, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why we think that under those justifications, under those explanations, we're very proud to close the government side.